Right. Today we're going to continue the halachas of from the Hilchas Avodah Zarah, talking about a jeweler if he is allowed to manufacture or to sell a cross. Al pi halacha. Yeah, there is a al pi halacha. So a jewelry. Yeah, I'm talking about Jew. I'm not giving halachas to Christians or to Muslims. I'm learning halachas for the Jews. Jewish jeweler, if he's allowed to sell a cross or to trade or to manufacture a cross to sell, if it's a okay, obviously you will know. We'll stay away, fine. But al pi halacha now. So like this. It's in Tur and Shulchan Aruch Kuf Mem Aleph. It's based on the Gemara of the Zohar Daf Mem. It summarizes the whole Mishnah and the Machlokes over there like this. Kol hatzlomim animtzoyim b'kforim asurim. Tzlomim. It says the Prisha explains tzelam means it's a tzuras odom, the image of a person. It's tzelam lokim also as odom. If you find a tzelam, an image, whether it's according to this, let's talk about the jewelry now. A jewelry made in the image of a person. B'kforim, if it's a villages asurim. The reason for it, why, if it's come from a village or in a village, you find, okay, the Safek Elil Asura. The Stomach Hashem Elil Na'asu. By the Goyim, and if they live in the villages, they probably did this image to worship it. And it's a Safek, even it's already Osur. And if you find them in the cities, in the big cities, Mutorim, why? What's in the village in the city? The Vadai Lenoi Na'asu. It definitely was made for just as a jewelry, not to worship it. It's a beauty as a jewelry. So according to this, we're talking about now. We're not talking yet about the jewelry. We're talking about if we find such a cross, let's say, or any image of a person. It doesn't talk about cross yet. I'm going to get to the cross in a minute. You talk about an image of a person. If it's in a village of Nochrim over there, they don't have money to buy it. For jewelry, they do it for worshipping. Masheng, if in a big city, people buy jewelry to wear. It's made for jewelry. It's not made for Elul, for Avodah Zarah. The Mele, it's mutar. Elohim can all this based, like I said, on the Gemara over there. Elohim can al Pesach Medina, the entrance to the city. Ubiyodom Makil or Tzipor. You see in the hand of that image of the person, you see a steak or a bird or kadur or saif. Shoysom Nazul Hashem Elilim. Why? The Gemara explained over there. The Mefarshim explained. They made for Elilim, but otherwise, you still see an image of a person. In the cities that people wear jewelry for beauty, for jewelry, that's mutar. Again, we didn't talk about manufacturing. If you find one, it's not. If it would be Avodah Zarah, you cannot have any hanoah from it. That's not the same Avodah Zarah. It's made for jewelry. You're allowed to do. No, the first one talk about clearly about the cross. It's the Darcha Moshe. Darcha Moshe says like this. And this parak in the Seches Avodah Zarah Kol Hatzlamim, he brings from the Mordechai. That's exactly the cross. Shesiva Erev. Sheishtachavu lo lezichra no ish. If they bow down to it, to remember the men they believe the worship, he says that would be osur. Aval masher toilin shesiver betzover, what they put on their neck, yeah, lezichron shabo mitauson, where they that's just as to show it's an indication that he part of this religion. Lo machmirinan kach mitzosi barabia at kal shayna. I said that will not machmir. According to this, a person finds a cross, yeah. It says, especially if you find it in a city, yeah. Again, today would be anywhere people wear it as jewelry. According to the Ravia, that's what the Darcha Moshe brings. It would not be osur because it's not made for Avodah Zarah. It's made as a jewelry. Okay, so we still don't know. I'm going to get soon to the business of the jeweler now. Here, this whole halacha I just read, it's brought in Shulchan Aruch, and the Ramah over there adds Shiva Erev shemishtachem in lo dina kedin selam ve'osur below bitul, aval Shiva Erev shetolim betzova lezichoren. That Shabomim Komisayim, that they want to show they come from those places that they believe in this. That would be Lo Mikra Tzelem Umutar. It's allowed to, meaning you're allowed to. Let's say you find such a cross that's made out of gold, you want to sell it, enjoy the money, no problem. Okay. Then he goes on in the same chapter that's Kuf Mem Aleph in Yerideh I'm reading from. He says like this. He brings two opinions. What happened? We're talking about now. This was jewelry. What happened if you have it on a cup, on a plate? You have all kind of images. He says, "Ima kelim mechubodim." If it's respectable kelim, asurim. Why they make on a plate, on a cup, all kind of images of people or cross? Let's say they made it for Avodah Zarah. Ima mevuzim. If it's something mevuzah, they're not respectable. Mutorim shlasod lenoi. They made them over there for the beauty, but that's why they is disrespected. It's not. Yeah. He said like this. And then he read V'yesh mish oimer. And some saying Shekol tzura shenevedes b'vada afil ala mevuzim asurim. Some saying it doesn't make a difference. It's made below from the word. Some we're going to see what's meant bizoyan. There's a shaila by Moshe Feinstein. They ask him a shaila if somebody was in a business selling stamps from different countries, and he says a lot of the stamps he has, it's cross on them. or some kind of image of some kind of galach. So they asked him if you asked the Rav Moshe if you're allowed to trade with them. The Rav Moshe, I'm going to bring inside soon, is Matired. One of he says one of the logic he uses besides the one heter he has, what we have from here, he says also it's a dover bizui, meaning on a stamp usually they don't respect it. They put on a stamp from the post office that was used already. Then they throw away the envelope with the stamp. It's not something they put it in a respectable place. They don't worship it. So it's definitely mutter. That's one opinion in Shulchan Aruch. V'yesh omrim, that's what the Mechaber bring. If they worship that surah, but I feel we know for sure that's made for idol worshiping. I feel ala mavuzim. Like that's why I brought now this Ramesh now. Even though on that stamp, it's a mavuzah. Nobody that goes to garbage at the end. Asurim. It's also. We don't know even. Maybe the bechal is a suffix sake. Maybe it wasn't l'shem avidazor. Even l'shem avidazor, it's mavuzah. It's also. That's what he brings. Then the Ramah comes. That's the mechaber board. The yesh omrim v'yesh omrim. If it's kli mevuzah, you're allowed to kli mechubat. If it's a respectable kli, something they look up to, that they respect it. It's also. Then he says v'yesh omrim also rafilo mevuzah. Then comes the Ramah and says v'aminag kesvara rishoina. Only when we hold it's osur, when you see on a kli image of a person or cross, only if it's a kli that they are really treated with big respect. But Mashenken, if it's kli mevuzah, it's mutter. Oh, that's Ramah mentioned this many times throughout the Shulchan Aruch, in Arachaim, in Yoredeya. Ubezman hazeh, she'en hagoyim oivdim letzuras halolo. Ramah holds from that like this Rishonim today. The what we call oivd avodah zarah, they're not really oivd avodah zarah. They don't worship any of those tzuras. Mutorim ba'anoi im moitzom. You're allowed to. You could even though it's a kli, you could think maybe the mamash that's something they would. Respect it a lot, they would hold it as a holy. You're allowed because they don't worship the tzura. He said in Arachaim today the Bevchinas Shutuf. We are not allowed to have Shutuf. Hashem is Echad. He doesn't have any helpers, any managers, any partners. They believe in partnership and management. They believe in that. For them it's okay. For us it's awesome. It's not avodah zarah for them. Even according to Shem it says Bnei Noach. If it's not avodah zarah, you're allowed. If you found them, you're allowed to have benefit. You could sell it a benefit. Avol en la shoysam. He says, but you should not have it in your collection. Let's say somebody say, I collect jewelry, or I collect that, or stamps of that, like the Rav Moshe said. He says stamps. No, la shoysam, to hold them, you're not allowed to. One thing is you got it, you want to get rid of them, but la shoysam. Okay. The yesh machmirim b'chol atzuras aniskares. Now we bring some machmir and all the afilu b'zman hazeh. Aval gav the idea de lo palchelu. So the Ramah himself brings some machmirim, even though we know we don't worship them, it still will be awesome. So Lamaisa is like this. Lamaisa. By the way, I'm going to bring this by right. He quotes the Shach. He says like this: By the way, that's what's the punchline for the jewelry maker or a salesman. He says, "We'll bring that's Shach." We know for sure nobody worshipped this specific kli. You will know it. Meaning, even the das which is saying that the svara that kelim mechubadim l'kul alma something is also. Let's say a Jewish manufacturer, he manufactured this cross to sell. He knows nobody worshipped it. I manufactured it. I'm going to sell it. Or the manufacturer, this guy is an atheist. He's just doing it for profit. He's a jeweler. He's not worshipping anything. It's brand new. It's for sale. Shach says it's definitely mutas. According to this, like this. Lefi halacha, really. Lefi ikaradin. Yeah. Especially with the svara of the Ramah, they're not avodah zarah, and even let's say you're going to believe some of them avodah zarah, they worship this. I manufacture that you could say, I bought it brand new, nobody. So it should not be l'choirem a problem. However, again, mitzat ikaradin, if you see a jeweler or somebody saying in his inventory a cross, you can malamed kavschus, yes, yeshlam al mashu yismoichu. However, since the Ramah himself, the one is the baal of that shita that today they still bring yesh machmirim. There's a place with machmir. Plus, we learned yesterday from the Taz, Lagabe, a contractor that building a church. In Al Pi Halacha, we said that's mutter. The Taz says it brought the sword of the hachak min akir. That's something you want to stay away from. So if it's Indian that you have to, like Rav Moshe has another tshuva, the one with the stamps I already mentioned to you. Rav Moshe has another tshuva. If somebody was in a business, he was an architect or working in a firm that do architectural work, and they asked him or the firm to make architectural work for a church. So he goes to the tshuva again, all the heterim I brought over there, he made all this heterim. But then that is his conclusion. It's like this. He goes like why even it's even easier than building a building on a paper, making a image of the building. It's a lot easier. When you say ladin, I'm reading from inside the Rav Moshe. That's the Taz. It's something you want to be involved in this. It doesn't look good. If there's not going to bring any hatred between people, then because that's already another hatred in halacha. Sometimes if it could bring a hatred, or then we try to stay to avoid that machloikes. Then he says another thing. He says, then he says, what happens if somebody works in a firm? If he's going to tell the balabos, we have an order now to make architectural work for a church. Because I'm not doing it, he might get laid off, he might get fired. Also, you don't have to lose your parnos of it. However, I'm saying if it's not a necessity, somebody should be machmir to stay away from any of those things. But mitzad ikar adin, like I said, there is a heter for to build that building, to make architectural work, or to sell that jewelry.